What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. We are still unpacking lessons learned from my weekend with 15 of the internet's top creators. So again, a little backstory if you're just coming into this. I spent this last weekend hanging out with my buddies Max Hurton, Rian Doris, a bunch of other amazing creators that got together for just a little top secret workshop where we shared secrets, shared lessons learned, swapped anecdotes and stories, and just tried to learn and grow with one another. And so if you haven't, I would highly recommend that you go back to episode 1 in the series, listen to all these tips all the way through, because these are the lessons that I gleaned from this weekend hanging out with some absolute rock star creators, people who are so much further ahead in the game than I am and that I really look up to in a lot of ways. And so these are lessons that you might not be able to gather on your own, because if you don't have access to groups like this, then you sometimes wonder like, oh, what happens behind those closed doors? I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing some of the things that I observe from being around these incredible people that I was fortunate enough to, sneak into the room and have access to. So lesson number 3 that I want to unpack in today's episode is hawks, not peacocks. See, success, it looks a very certain way, but it's not how most people think. It's not flashy clothes, it's not suits, it's not over-the-top jewelry. In my experience, it's like 90% just plain t-shirts. That's it. Like, the people that are truly successful, they don't flaunt it in a way that you would look at them standing in a crowd outside the airport and be like, that person is wildly successful. You just look at him and be like, oh yeah, he's wearing t-shirts and some jeans and some, sneakers. Like, it's pretty basic stuff. Like, and I find that really, really interesting, because I've talked about this at length in previous videos, and especially on Instagram, where I talk about the difference between playing the status game and playing the wealth game or the creation game. A lot of people are trying to win the wealth game, but they're doing it by playing by the rules of the status game, which is that you have to look and be a particular way. And the reality is that being successful beats just looking successful. And a lot of people think by looking successful that will inevitably lead them to becoming successful. And I don't think that's really the case. Like, you hear people say you have to dress for success or dress the part that you want to have. And I don't think that there's a ton of merit in that. I think badasses rise to the top. I think skills pay the bills at the end of the day. And if you have those, they will lead to success, regardless of what you're wearing. And so, in my day-to-day life, I have 10 black V-neck t-shirts that I just kind of cycle through. I have this shirt that I'm wearing right now. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can go to Amplified Impact. You can see, like, it's pretty basic stuff. And it was amazing to see, like, as I'm looking at the other guys at this event, everybody's kind of dressed more or less the same. Just basic t-shirts, basic short, like nothing too fancy at all. There was no, like, brand name logoed apparel and, like, big fancy jewelry or anything like that. And so if you think that you need to dress that way to be taken seriously, if you think that's what success looks like, you're wrong. That's, in my experience, that's just not how it manifests. Now, this might be different depending on the different verticals. If you're in finance, I'm in real estate, and we deal a lot with finance, equity, debt groups, and a lot of times those guys do wear suits. They do dress nice. They dress a particular way. But even there, it's a lot of times a little bit understated. It's more subtle expressions of status and wealth, not just overt, here's my bling. In creator circles, which is what this event was, it's probably a little bit more of an artistic bent, and so a little bit more casual in the way that people present themselves. But I just find it really interesting, the disparity between people's expectation of what success looks like versus what it actually is in reality. And talking to a lot of the guys about, like, the types of cars that they drive, or like the types of homes that they live in, it's all pretty modest in a lot of cases. It's nothing over the top and crazy that you might associate with wealth or success, rather. So the takeaway for me on this was, it's better to be a hawk than a peacock. And if you look at a hawk is like this beautiful bird in a lot of ways. It looks really good, but it's not doing anything to overtly try to primp and preen and try to project this particular look like a peacock would, right? So as you're going through life, try to be the hawk, not the peacock, because the hawk gets fed, the peacock just kind of hangs out in the backyard hoping somebody comes along and gives it a little bit of kibble. I actually don't know how peacocks survive. I don't have a clue. So hopefully this brings you a little bit of value, guys and gals. I appreciate you as always for being here. Make sure that you tune back in tomorrow. Don't leave. And until then, stay hyper focused, my friend. That was a weird outro, but sometimes that's just how it goes. So love you. Goodbye.